Be blessed by the divine. வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வளமுடன். Good morning, good evening to everyone. Welcome to today's Sky Yoga online group meditation and lecture by our great senior professor Balachandran sir. Sir, I extend a very, very warm welcome to you for giving us this opportunity to listen to your very personal experience with yoga, Sky Yoga. You have been in Sky Yoga for more than 30 years. So this is a very, very small introduction, I should say. Professor Balachandran sir and his wife, Mrs. Professor G.Balachandran ma'am, have been in Sky Yoga for more than 30 years. And their contribution to spreading Vethathiri Maharishi's message to the whole world is immense. They have traveled more than 20 countries in the world, and they have opened up many centers in India. And we know that Senior Professor Balachandran sir has been with Maharishi for many decades. Both of them were there in aliyar and doing immense service. And we are really very blessed and happy to have you today's evening, sir. And yes, can we permanently eradicate war? And you say yes. And how is that? And we're going to hear it from you, sir. Thank you so much. Be blessed by the divine, sir. Thank you.
May the whole world enjoy prosperity, happiness, and peace. May we all be blessed with good health, long life, prosperity, wisdom, and peace. My salutations to all the members across the world. Thanks to Sunandaji for a very kind introduction, and earlier a beautiful meditation by Akhilaji. Today, the topic which has been given, can we permanently eradicate war? The answer is yes. How is it going to be done? Now, this is really mouth-watering. And it is very timely. All of us, irrespective of our nationalities, irrespective of our leanings, all of us are pained to see innocent lives in thousands being killed, being maimed, lakhs, millions of people leaving their homes, running away, not knowing where, what's next. Innocent people, even those killed in the war. Maharishi asks, are they enemies? The people who actually got killed in the wars, were they enemies? They didn't even know each other. They are just paid, that's all. They're just doing a job. But what is a job? To go and kill somebody or get killed? What will happen to the families of all these people? And we are all helpless, hapless citizens just looking at it without knowing what to do about it. And we are in the 21st century, and we are proud that of all the animals, all the living beings in the humans, in the society, in the world, that we are supposed to be the most advanced, technically, culturally most advanced. And we call other animals as wild animals. But even wild animals will shudder to kill at random somebody who's not connected at all, unless they're hungry. And that too, Maharishi says, because they can't produce food by themselves, they have to kill. That's all. At other times, they will be peaceful. But it is the human being, without any or some wrong rhyme or reason, can kill somebody just like that. In one of the very touching poems of Maharishi, he says that in our families, if somebody is wounded, somebody is undergoing pain, the whole family feels so bad about it. And they're all losing their peace. But in the case of war, just in fraction of minutes, in just a few hours, thousands are getting killed, thousands getting amputated, being shifted from one place to another. Now, why is this happening? And he's asking one question. In Tamil, he says, Nadandu sellum pinangal alla. Are we moving corpses? Are we dead bodies who are not moved by this and not doing anything about it? What are we? Well, that's a very, very powerful statement coming from Maharishi. In fact, as you all know, that the organization itself is called World Community Service Center. After all, India got independence just about 10 years before that. This was started in 1958. We got independent in 1947. Most of the countries were getting independent. So he didn't talk about Indian Community Service Center. He didn't talk about Hindu or Tamil Community Service Center. He said, whenever you put some limits to the group, that is the beginning of differences of opinion and war. And that's why he starts an organization called World Community Service Center. And that is in tune with nature. All of us have come from the same parentage. If we go back thousands of years back, we must have started from one man or one woman. So actually, we are a single community. If that is so, why is it that we do this? And in fact, 1946, when the World War, Second World War was over, Maharishi was at that age 35. He was born 1911, 1946. So at the age of 35, he said he realized what is the truth and he was in a bliss. And he says that all of us can reach that bliss, ecstasy. While we have the provision to each one of us reaching that bliss, which goes beyond pain, pleasure, and peace. A very, very beautiful way of living. While all of us can do that, why are we doing like this? And this kind man's heart bled seeing all this. And that is why he started this World Community Service Center. And all of us should go through this book called World Peace. For 200 poems just came out from him, and he wrote the first volume in 1957. In fact, he started the organization in 58, but the book itself came out in 1957. And its second edition in 1990, he translated the whole thing in English also, so that the whole world can know what is the plan. If you see that, the first he will say, what are the present problems? And then he says, what is the root of this problem? And then what is the solution for this problem? And if the solutions are carried out, how the future of the world will be. Very beautiful analysis. Of course, then he has written many other books on world peace. The latest one, and he addressed in 1975, on January 9, he addressed the United Nations Organization. And then in 2002, the UNO was here in Aliyar. We had a world conference on world peace. And the UN permanent representative came to Delhi, came to Aliyar to receive our Aliyar declaration. So there are methods, there are plans. If only it can be just implemented. And we all have a right to lead a very beautiful life. Because in war, nobody wins. There is destruction everywhere. And after the war, they continue to prepare for the next war, that's all. And with advancement of science, we make it even more difficult. I mean, we're spending so much of money on defense. And today, the power of the nuclear arms is so much that the whole world can be eradicated. That much of power is there. So should we continue to have all of them? And if one operates, the other one will automatically come. That is the amount of artificial intelligence we have. So the whole world will be destroyed. Not only the human beings. Nothing will be there after that. We are sitting on a precipice without understanding that we are sitting on the precipice like that. Nature keeps teaching. It's high time we learn from that. I will just share one personal experience we had with Maharishi, and then I'll come back to this. Somehow I thought I should say that. Yes, it was in the year 2001. My wife, myself, and Rajshekar, we three were sitting with Swamiji. Suddenly, Maharishi, he talks to us only in Tamil. But suddenly, I found that he raised his voice and spoke in English, and in a totally different tone. I'm telling you, it is very honest, exactly what happened. And he said, if humanity does not mend its ways, universal might will teach us a lesson. Like very strong words coming from Swamiji. His voice usually is a very, very soft, but this was a very hoarse voice, and that too in English. And use the word universal might. He would never say about divinity, he would never use that strong word. He will say all loving, kindness. That's what always used to talk about divinity, because he says the divinity's nature is love and compassion. So how love and compassion will be using universal might against humanity. And we were wondering why Swamiji is saying this. And that too in English to us. It was a totally, even now when I talk about it, my hairs stand on the ends. Then we went back to our room, but after a few hours, we saw that it was September 11th, and the Pentagon, this thing was attacked. Twin Towers was attacked. 8 hours after this one. So Swamiji, we always been thinking of world peace. When something happened, some planning was going on to disturb. He, as just like a mother feels for the child, he was feeling some disturbance in him. And that is how these words came out. You see? But after September 11 also, we did not learn any lesson. So universal might is teaching more lessons for us. The earlier we all wake up, or it may be too late, then it came in the form of corona, because we have destroyed enough nature, and nature is coming back. With all our scientific advancements, all of us had to close our mouth for 2 years. Of a size of a virus about which we can't even see in a microscope. That happened for 2 years. Now one more war happening. Whether it's going to become a nuclear war, nobody knows. So what is the use of having all the arms? They can't apply it. NATO cannot do anything about it, because if it does, we don't know what Russia will do. I'm not saying who is right, who is wrong. That is, it's beyond us. We don't know what exactly actually happened. We're not going into that. We are seeing the result of any conflict, especially in the 21st century, when so much of destructive power is there within us. But what is the solution? Maharishi says there's a solution. In fact, we have this European Economic Union. I told Swamiji earlier when I went, see, we are all very sad that nothing is happening, that we are seeing so much negativity everywhere. Then he told me, Swamiji told, well, you see, European Economic Union, they might have done it for a business to have a better market. But in European Union, we have people who fought for the Second World War against each other. Germany and Italy were on one side, France and England other side, but now they are all European in a single union. So if dead enemies can come together, where now today you can just walk across, you can open your business in any of these 25 countries. So if European Union can happen, who were the cause for the 2 world wars, and the war now also it's happening in Europe. It's not happening in Africa or India, some poor countries. It is happening where rich countries are involved. So let us not think that this poverty which is leading to world war, that's what we generally think. No, it is where prosperity is there, this is happening. It's a very tragic thing. So Maharishi says if European Union can happen, why not a world union? So today also that NATO, see, totally we need 2 things only, all of us, individually or as country. One is we should be able to maintain ourselves. We should have food. water, dress, housing, etc. Each one of us, the country should be having provision for that. Not that the economy, suddenly you see Sri Lanka becoming bankrupt. How can they continue like that? So with all our economics, this is what is happening. So that economic security is not there. Similarly, military security is also not there. So if NATO is very strong, maybe the people, other countries are afraid of that. So if other countries also start piling up arms, is that the solution? It's not a solution at all. But Maharishi says, we have a setup already. We have what is called United Nations Organization, isn't it? So instead of just NATO giving the provision only for 30 countries, our Security Council can provide security for all the whole world. That's all. So once the Security Council gives guarantee for our military existence, then we don't have to have separate armies. We don't have to have separate nuclear piling. All those things are not required. So just like NATO, if UNO gives us assurance, no country need to be bothered. The army can be given to the Security Council. So no country can wage a war because they won't have an army. It is not utopian. If all of our consciousness is raised, if people want this, because nobody wants a war, even the political leaders, they don't want a war, but it is happening beyond them also. So if our consciousness can be raised, if there's a voting, yes or no, how many people want war? Nobody would want it. And today it is possible to make a change. Now let us look at it from another angle. We say we are on a very civilized society. Suppose my neighbor and I, we fight for something. And the argument becomes more intense and somebody starts beating the other. Immediately, you're not supposed to retaliate. You're supposed to go and tell the police station. And the police will take an action. There's a legal system there. At the lowest level, we have village panchayats. So individually, you can't fight. You have to report. A judicial system, legal system will take care. So we have sessions court, we have sessions judges, we have separate court for crime, separate court for civil. Metropolitan courts are there, metropolitan for crimes, this thing is there. And even between two districts, if there's a problem, they will be looked at by the High Court. So High Court will give a decision if there's a problem between two districts. It's not that one district starts fighting with another district. And similarly, if there's a problem between two states, we keep having it. Example, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu fighting for water. So is the case with so many neighboring states with others. So a Tamil Nadu army and Karnataka army cannot go and fight and decide whoever is the winner will take Kaveri water. It is not happening. They will have to go to the Supreme Court and that will give a judgment. So right from the lowest level, right up to the country level, you can't take arms by yourself. There is a legal system. That is what is a civil society. And we are proud of that civilization. So if right from the lowest level up to the national level, if it can happen, why at the international level, things have been decided by the power, by the brute power? Why at the highest level, we are behaving like brutes? United States of America, it has got 50 states. If there's a problem between two states, the Supreme Court of USA will decide that. In India, we have some 30 states, union territories. If there's a problem, it's the Supreme Court of India is going to do. That's the case with all the countries. So if up to the national level, we are following a code, civil code, why at the international level we behave like animals, worse than animals? And the consequences, nobody can know what is going to happen. One mad politician can just wash away the entire humanity. So should we live like that? And in UNO, there is a setup. So if we can raise our voice and say that, let Security Council take care of the armies of all the countries so that no country, just like Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, don't have armies, so they cannot fight, even if they want to. Why this cannot be extended? And after all, UN was got 193 members. All the countries are the members there. So if they take a decision and when nobody wants a war, why not we as Maharishi says, if humanity does not mend its ways, universal might will teach a lesson. It is teaching a lesson now. Are we going to listen to it or are we going to pay a price for it? That's all. There are only two choices. So can we raise our voice? See that our political leaders start doing something about it. Why not raise this issue at least? So some changes are required in UNO, but it can be done. So why NATO? Why not UN taking care of all of us? Then Maharishi has worked out even 10% of the amount we spend for defense. We spend huge amounts for defense. Every rich or poor country spends more than 10 to 15% of their GDP for defense purposes, only to destroy. That's all. Swamiji says if only 10% of it is used, then the whole world poverty can be eradicated. These are the 17 goals of UNO, sustainable goals for 2030. It can be achieved. And the sustainable goals, if you see, they want to remove hunger. They want to have pure water, drinking water. Pure drinking water is not available to 20-30% of the world population. Hunger has not been completely removed. Such basic needs we are not satisfying. It can be done. In another 8 years, 2030, that targets can be achieved if only today we decide that we don't require armies separately, individual countries. Like the rest of the sovereignty will be there. You will have your own governments. That UN was not going to interfere. You do all that. Only thing is you cannot use aggression to another country. Okay, but if there's a difference of opinion, what do? Just like we have, you go to Supreme Court, there is an International Court of Justice existing already. So put the papers to them. So let them decide whether in Ukraine, few villages should go to Russia or few villages could go to Ukraine. That's all. Only that decision has to be taken. So why do you decide based on a war? Killing innocent people without knowing what's going to happen. So this is exactly what the World Community Service Center at the end of meditation says the whole world may enjoy prosperity, happiness, and peace. And the first sentence is all the responsible leaders may understand the importance of life energy, Pran Shakti. We are all living beings. We cannot produce one living being. A living being produced, we cannot even sustain it for a few minutes unless nature is doing the breathing for us. Nature is providing the air for us. Nature is providing the land for us. Nature is giving the intelligence to live. Everything is a free gift from Mother Nature. So who are we to stop all that? We had this dinosaurs days, and then the whole world got everything. Once again, the whole thing started. We could be the last generation seeing this. Things are serious. But we think, okay, as long as it's not happening nearby, we are safe. No, nobody is safe. Just like Corona, rich or poor. In fact, rich countries were even affected even more, even now. Because Corona does not have any national borders. It is artificial borders created by us. So is the world war. So are we going to be passive spectators? Or even by blessing, can we do it even more strongly? And when people start realizing it, they will produce leaders who will represent in the UNO, say that, no, I will see that no war is there. Today, we have leaders who say, I'm going to dominate the world. Such leaders are not required for us. Leaders should be that, see that there is no war, so that all of us can progress. So just a few years of diverting the funds for using it for war, if it can be done, there will be no backward country in 15 years. then further changes can be happening. Yes, there was a time when countries required armies. So even in India, there were 500 states. Each state, the Maharaja was there, they had their own armies, they used to fight with each other. So that was days long back. Today, the whole world is connected, economically disconnected, politically disconnected. We are all traveling in different countries, we're staying in different countries. So when the whole world culture has changed, world economics has changed, but only in the case of war, we are again sticking on to national level or local level. So we are out of tune with time when it comes to the most important thing for our sustenance. So it is this Maharishi has been saying for the last 70, 60 years. And it is possible. Every day we are going towards the precipice without understanding that. And again, another poem, he says, he talks about world human rights in just one simple poem. மனிதனுக்கு உணவோட வீடு வேண்டும். What is that required for the humanity? Food, water, and shelter. And when a person comes of age, a life partner. These are the basic needs. So what the world should do is, what is human rights? Everyone should get these basic rights. So how do you do that? An individual, so you have got, so everyone has got certain talent. How that can be done in a positive way? And how the world economy, everyone is producing towards world economy. There will be no unemployment. Everyone has to be employed because without that, he is going to create problem to the society. So there are some economic changes that are required. Maharishi talks about those things also. What are the economic changes required? Today, what is happening is because of advancement in computer technology, advancement in artificial intelligence, 1,000 people's work is now being done just by one machine. That's all. And the 999 people will be jobless. This is happening. And it's going to happen faster and faster. So things will be produced, but people will not be having money to buy that. So that is why the gap between rich and the poor is increasing. The more and more advancement of science is used for disparity between people. The top 100 people, their income will be to 20 to 30% of the world population. I'm not talking communism. Swamiji is not talking about communism. In fact, Swamiji talks about what is called altruism. What is altruism? Think of the other person also. Think of the other person. So if that comes to all of us, we will see that these people need not be unemployed. Because it is the society which has educated him. And then if you don't employ him, you're doing a double this thing. You have spent money on him, but you're not doing job. So he is going to be creating problems. So how to share the work? Should we work for 6 days in a week, 8 hours? Now already some of the European countries, they have started reducing the number of hours. They're working for 5 days a week, 4 days a week. So it can be done around the world. So economic changes are possible. Political changes are possible. Education, again, in modern society, if a person is not educated, he cannot live a full life. Can we not provide education to everyone? Yes, if the wars are stopped, everyone can be provided education. Without education, a human being will not be a human being. Because today everything is based on machines. So if you don't have education, you can't communicate with others, you can't work anywhere. So can education be given to everyone? And in that education, can we give a concept of world citizenship? And can we give a concept of that everyone has come from the divinity, that ultimate knowledge, which is the truth, where all religions come together. So Maharishi talks about that. After all, religions contain only two things. One is worship of some higher power, and the other is harmony with society. So these two can be taught from schools. All religions talk about the same thing. So if we know what that God is, so the name of the God is different. And science is looking for a unified force. Maharishi says, what is a unified force? And you can give that. So immediately the religions and science come together. So that's one of the reasons for war. So that can be stopped. Then we know that we're all brothers and sisters, not only us, all living beings. And we'll be knowing how nature is providing everything to us. We'll start respecting nature. Then we will not be working against nature, not for the short-term benefit. Today, because every economics is based on profit for individual. Profit should not be the only motive. The duty consciousness. They're all very beautifully explained by Maharishi. So it is not that at the cost of rich people, poor people should get it. Kill all those rich people, take the money, share it. No, not at all. You will never, you should never do that. Absolutely without violence. And they will be a part of this. Their intelligence is required, their business acumen is required. There is no enemy here. It is our way of living, something is wrong. So this has to be looked into. And World Community Service Center has been doing this for 50 years, but unfortunately its voices have not been heard. So there is already a setup called United Nations. We don't have to create a new setup. It is already there. Slight changes in UNO has to be done. That's all. So our General Assembly can take up this issue. General Assembly recently has been meeting twice. So why can't General Assembly take up this issue, and find a permanent solution, not a temporary solution to Russia and Ukraine? The war may stop, but they'll be preparing for the next war. Is that peace? Not having war is not peace. Peace is totally different from this. And that can be achieved only by a proper planning. And it is possible. Maharishi says we have enough advancement of science that food is not a shortage, water is not a shortage, housing is not a shortage. It is only the distribution. And we have UNESCO. UNESCO can decide whether some of the scientific developments should it be used or not. Nuclear power, if should not be used in a negative way, how to put a stop to that? UNESCO can do that. Economic and Social Council is there. So what are the economic principles they should use for the world? Experts can be there. What are the social changes required? Are women given equal respect, which they deserve? The plants, are we giving respect for them, for all that they're giving to us? Are animals respected? So economic and social changes, economic council is there. The changes required in science, culture, UNESCO is there. FAO is there for food. WHO is there for health. We have a setup already. Only thing is our mission, instead of being narrow, my group, my people, if only that can be expanded. And they can all be taught meditation also if they're required. You see? So all these things are there. So war can be permanently eradicated. It is possible. Whether we want to do it, whether we have a will to do it, is a question. I think I'll stop here for comments. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm giving a topical subject, which is very close to all our hearts. Our hearts bleed. And we are helpless. We are not helpless. It can be done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aya. Thank you, sir. Your wonderful lecture. Anybody who wants to ask any questions or give any comments can raise your hands. We'll unmute you.
Yes, Bhagyalakshmi, we can unmute. You can unmute and speak. I would like even people to come on video. What is that? All of you. Yes, Bhagya Lakshmi, you have to unmute. You've got to unmute.
ஐயா வாழ்க வளமுடன் ஐயா வாழ்க வளமுடன்
Oh, yes.
yes ஐயா wonderful explanation ஐயா wonderful for the youngsters ஐயா one news said in the world we are totally more than 194 countries are there in the world. Nowadays 27 countries don't possess the army. If it is possible for the 27 countries to maintain the law and order only by the police force, why can others don't? This is a news I read in a newspaper. Yeah.
That's a good question. Yes, we should ask these questions. Correct. Yes, it is possible. It is just that we have to come out to the mold we have been. You see, we are in some part earlier. You see, we in India, people used to get married at the age of 12, 13, 14. Now it looks so silly, is it not? So it is just that people have to be educated. People used to have 8 children, 10 children. Now having 2 children is more than enough. So changes are happening, is it not? So people's consciousness can be raised. We have to think in a more constructive way, that we should be ready to drop things which may be okay at one point of time. So this is what is constantly we have to evolve. Reformation is to be done always, individually as well as society. There are things which have started thousands of years back. They might have started for a reason, but today with the change, this thing, should you follow the same thing or ready to change? For mobile, I'm ready to change. Okay. But there are certain things which I'll hold on to what was there 1,000 years back. This is the problem. Now I don't say that I'll go on bullock cart because my grandfather was going in bullock cart. I want the latest car. So there I'm ready to change just like that. But on certain issues, so no, it happened for so many years we have been following. Yes, at that time it had been okay. Is it okay now? This is a question we should ask ourselves. Or is there a better alternative? But changing the culture, Swamiji is saying only 2 things are required, only 2 changes. If every one of us, the 700 billion people, if we say, I will not hurt others, and to the extent possible, I will help others. Total human culture can change just by following these 2 principles. Is it difficult to follow? If all of us take this thing on that, but we should have a security for us. Then only we can do it. If we don't have a security for my country, I can't do that. So we have to provide that. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for wonderful answer. Anybody who wants to raise questions or any comments can raise your hand.
Okay, if there are no questions, you can close the session now.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your wonderful lecture and elaborating on the practical solutions given by our Swamiji. The economic changes, social changes, you elaborated on everything. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Let us all bless our beloved Professor Balachandran, sir. Close your eyes, get into a meditative state. May the divine power bless our Professor Balachandran, sir, with good health, long life, enough health, wisdom, and peace. Be blessed by the divine. Be blessed by the divine. Be blessed by the divine. Thank you all for joining the session. Thank you. Tomorrow.
Thanks for the patient hearing.
It's all of it. Tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Please do join for the group meditation, English group meditation. Thank you. Be blessed by the divine. With this, we conclude the session. Thank you.